Can we look at the NBA and the NFL and talk about how well they do within the sporting structures, and then talk about wanting open leagues? Because let's be really honest, right? The reason they can drive such valuable numbers is because, let's say from a commercial perspective, you can sign a 5-year deal with that team and you know that they're still going to be competing in that league. You sign a 5-year commercial contract for X million with a rugby club or a football team at the moment that could, in 3 seasons, drop down 3 leagues. Yeah. Your value completely diminishes in that deal. Yeah. So can you have both? Is it a contradiction?
Yeah, I think it is. I think US supporters, if you go to the US sports, they accept that model. And they're good with that model. I don't think you can. I'm in for the risk. If I do a rubbish job and I do a crap job running the Dragons and we get relegated down 2-3 divisions, well then we deserve what we had coming to us, and we should do better, right? But that jeopardy, I think, drives the engagement and excitement of supporters and broadcasters. And in the end, that's what drives the revenue. We're in an entertainment business in the end. That's what we are. We're not a closed shop of franchise run. I don't even like the phrase is franchise run. It sort of grates at me a little bit. I don't even like the concept. I understand the value of a brand, but I don't want like franchise sport. I want sport that connects the communities that they're in, because I think that's the history of Europe. We have sports teams which connect to the communities they sit in, and those supporters want to engage in games where actually on any given Saturday, they know win and loss means something. I love watching the NBA, but they play like how many games? And I know I can go watch a game at the Brooklyn Nets, and that night the player's like, it doesn't really matter if we lose this one. And I think there's something wrong about that, but especially in a gladiatorial sport like rugby. Every game I would have less games and higher quality games, but every game means something, has something hanging off the back of it. And I would move everything out of the way around rugby politics in order to make that happen. So I would, for example, if you think about the English League, the Welsh, we play in the league called the URC. You have the English League with 10 teams, and we have the 4 South African teams, we have the 4 Irish teams, the 2 Scottish teams, the 4 Welsh teams, and the 2 Irish teams in our league. Wouldn't it be amazing? CVC invest in both leagues. So CVC are major shareholders in the English League and also our league, as well as the 6 Nations. I think it'd be amazing if CVC went, listen, let's put these leagues together, create 2 leagues, Premiership, Championship, up and down, promotion, relegation, and have a cross-border competition where we all literally went at it hammer and tongs and created a really intense rugby season around that. And I think supporters and broadcasters would love it personally.
It's a discussion that is, we have to have it.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about the sustainability of a massively historical and well-backed sport. But at the moment, we're having a conversation earlier, which goes, is rugby still relevant? And I mean that provocatively.
Yeah.
And I really do. Because
didn't expect you to ask that question. That was me.
But for the competition now, for eyes, for media, for attention, how do we retain relevance?
But I think, to me, that's leadership of the game. You have to keep it relevant. Nothing has a divine right to stay relevant, whether you're a company or a sports team. No one has a divine right to stay relevant. You have to be bloody good at what you do. We're fighting with the entertainment and leisure pound, which is a very competitive pound. It's never been more competitive. The days of 70,000 people turning up, to watch a rugby game on a Saturday, like in the 1920s, when that Saturday afternoon was the only thing probably in that community you could do for entertainment. Those days are gone, right? So we have a huge amount. We work in a very competitive industry for that leisure pound, and we should think about ourselves that way, and therefore move everything out of the way to make the product as good as it can be. And I think that goes back to what I'm saying around if you talk about the health and safety, my son plays for a rugby team, and he's 12 years old, and this season the first lad got knocked out, concussed, and his mum said he's not playing rugby anymore. So this is a real issue for rugby, right? This is parents understandably watching their son play. He's 12 years old. He accidentally got a knee to the side of the head. He's concussed. And his mum, I was watching the game, his mum was like, understandably, he's not playing in rugby anymore, my son. And so rugby, of course, has to tackle this. It's a huge issue, but of course it can. But the NFL's wrestled it down. They wrestle concussion down in the US. We can, of course, do the same in rugby. Rugby's done some really good stuff around tackle height, for example. So it is dealing with it. But I think get yourself on the front foot as a game. Get the best technology available, because we all know there's great ways to measure concussion now through gum shields and lots of other technology that's out there. Let's make sure there's great player welfare post-career so that we take care of players who have issues. And let's just get on with it, because there's a brilliant game. If as a game to play and as a game to watch, honestly, personally for me, there's no game like it when it's done well. Like if any of you watched the France-New Zealand game in the World Cup, that was probably the best sporting event in terms of experience to watch a sport that I've seen in the last 12, 18 months of any sport. It was brilliant.